Did Quinn Ewers really leave that much money on the table, and how we're looking at rookie contracts in 2025 as opposed to how we were looking at them in 2020? What's up, kinfolk? It's RJ Young. I am not on a step mill. If this is your first time watching the #1 college football show, welcome. Thank you for joining us here. We talk college football year round. So if you're into that, hit that subscribe button, like this video, and answer the question in the comments below. Do you think Quinn Ewers, and now I'm going to add Shadour Sanders to this conversation, actually left money on the table going into the NFL draft? For Shadour Sanders, the reason I want to ask this question is not because he had any eligibility left. He didn't. He played 2 years at Jackson State. He played 2 years at Colorado. And each year he got better as a player. That part gets somehow missed. He developed into a really great college quarterback. He threw for 4,000 yards. He threw for he did throw for more than 40 touchdowns. He set single season records. He played with a Heisman Trophy winner. They won 9 games. They did things they haven't done at Colorado in a decade. They did things at Jackson State they hadn't done in a decade. And his hallmark has been he's a winner. That's just what it's been, right? Now, you can make the argument that that's not quite true given the overall record at Colorado, going 4-8 in the first year, 9-4 in the second. You're 13-12 overall. I think that really does a disservice to what Shadour Sanders was playing with, which is not an offensive line that anybody wanted to play behind in 2023. The worst offensive line in college football, bar none. They gave up 50 sacks and got the boys' back broken. You could say he holds onto the ball, but I'm not even going to give him 30 of those sacks or 20 of those sacks. Whatever it is, a good offensive line keeps you upright. Just ask Quinn Ewers. I'll get to him in just a second. But I also want to add in 2024, he overcame the worst rushing attack in college football at Colorado. Shadour Sanders did not have a run game to speak of, which means the offense was only moving the ball if he threw it. They were dead last in rushing yards per game. I don't understand how you can make that his fault. Even as the offensive line was a little bit better in protection, it wasn't outstanding. And really the thing that made Colorado into a 9-win team is the defense kind of, sort of started to pull its weight, especially midway through the year. Did they get run on by Devin Neal in Kansas? Absolutely. Did they get run on by BYU? Absolutely. You're also forgetting in there, they had some really good situational play, and they played well against their Big 12 opponent. They finished tied atop the Big 12 standings. And, you know, that Iowa State team that finished tied with them, they beat Miami, who had Cam Ward, who was the #1 overall pick. Arizona State, they damn near beat Texas in the quarterfinals of the college football playoff. Needed overtime to beat that team. And I think that's where the shine kind of came off of Quinn Ewers, really. The highest point we saw from Quinn Ewers had to be the win over Alabama in 2023. 10-point win in Tuscaloosa. Not only do you get the win, you see Jalen Milroe, who one of the better quarterbacks in college football the last 2 years, gets benched while you keep the job. And not only do you keep the job, you keep the job as Arch Manning is putting on heat, not of his own doing, but of fans, right? We've seen it. We know what's going on there. We really want to see the guy go play football. And Steve Sarkisian was so sold on what Quinn Ewers was capable of. He says, look, we're going to be quarterbacked by Quinn Ewers in 2024, let alone 2023, right? Even as the man hasn't played an entire season without sustaining an injury. And the more I think about this, the more I wonder, could he have had a better career if he did not choose to reclassify so that he could get to Ohio State a year early? And I really put that at the feet of Texas lawmakers who, at the time, ridiculous to me, but they did this, they outlawed name, image, and likeness for high school players. They said you could not make money off your name, image, and likeness if you were in high school. There are reasons for why they might want to do that, but at the time, what they were doing was not allowing Quinn Ewers to capitalize on what was going to be a reported 7-figure deal for a company to use his name, image, and likeness. So what did he do? He reclassified and went to Ohio State. This is after losing the state championship to Austin Westlake, which had Cade Klubnik as its starting quarterback, and he's one of the best quarterbacks that is going to be returning in 2025, could be a first-round pick. Those are the kind of players that he was compared to, and he should have been, right? This is a 5-star. This is a guy that at one point had a perfect score in the 247 Sports Composite ranking because he was so talented with his arm. He could put the ball anywhere he needed it to go, and he could throw it all over the yard. He's not a mobile guy, right? And he really does need his receivers to do a little bit of work. But if he can, he will throw them open. He also benefited from playing with one of the better offensive lines in football, particularly the last couple of years when you've got Kelvin Banks as your left tackle, who was a first-round pick, which gets to the money here. Kelvin Banks was more valuable to the NFL than Quinn Ewers, and it wasn't even close. As a first-round pick, Kelvin Banks slated to make $27.7 million as the New Orleans Saints' first overall pick. Ashton Jeanty was also considered more valuable than Quinn Ewers. He's going to make $35.9 million guaranteed. Tyler Warren, tight end at Penn State, more valuable, 4 years, $20.9 million for the Colts. Emeka Egbuka, right, wide receiver 2 at Ohio State. That man's going to make $18.1 million playing for the Tampa Bay Bucks, which means that Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, and Emeka Egbuka are going to be running routes for Baker Mayfield, which is kind of cool. Jaden Higgins became the first second-round pick ever to receive a fully guaranteed deal as a wide receiver, $11.7 million. That's how much he's getting paid. Meanwhile, Quinn Ewers is seventh-round pick. He's signed a contract. It's going to pay him $4.33 million over 4 years, plus a $130,000 and $131.5. Not short him, signing bonus. Some of us have heard that 135 or 131.5 number and go, that's a really good salary for a year, dog. That's really good. And you take a look at the league minimum in the NFL, you maybe not. But the point there is he's a millionaire, and he's been a millionaire. Like that's the part, right? He's not just been a millionaire. He's been a millionaire, the kind that did not need to take money from the Texas One Fund. He's set. He was good. If anybody needs to be absolutely feted as a Longhorn, it needs to be Quinn Ewers, because I believe he did himself a disservice and did a service to Texas by choosing to enter the NFL draft, especially when you look around and you could see there are players that are making $3 and $4 million next year to play quarterback in college, okay? Carson Beck at Miami. I don't know that man is a day 1 pick or even a day 2 pick if he came out this year, because frankly, Quinn Ewers was a better quarterback than Carson Beck was. And everything that Carson Beck did well, he did in the second half. For whatever reason, that dude could never turn it up in the first half of a football game as quarterback at Georgia. We could talk about the wide receivers and the lack of depth there, but some of this is on Carson as well, right? I think putting the ball where it's supposed to go in the first half makes it easier to catch the ball in the second half. But we could put that one to the side. He's playing college football. John Mateer, also going to make about $3 million. Darren Mensah at Duke, going to make $4 million. This is the range, right? Nico Iamaleava wanted to get to the $4 million range and was making 2.2. Don't be greedy. That's what we learned from there. I don't think you can look at Shadour Sanders and Quinn Ewers in the same way that you could someone before name, image, and likeness, because now guys are walking into the NFL having put a lot of money, hopefully, into a savings account and hopefully into an IRA, into a high-performance hedge fund, have diversified their assets, and then they're making the salary from the NFL. So no matter how you look at this, they're winning. Do they last in the NFL? Remains to be seen, right? There's making that 53-man roster. There is getting an opportunity to play. When you get drafted as a backup quarterback, it's really difficult to be a starting quarterback, but it does happen. Just ask Brock Purdy how that goes for the 7th-round pick, or Tom Brady goes as a 6th-round pick. We can keep going down the line on this. I think there's going to be an opportunity for both Shedeur and Quinn Ewers to show. But I think that because Dillon Gabriel's also there at Cleveland, along with Joe Flacco and Deshaun Watson doing whatever he's going to do, it's going to be a little bit more difficult for Shedeur to move up the depth chart. And even right now, probably the leader in the clubhouse to be the practice squad quarterback, if we're being honest about this. But that's just because of the talent they got and all of the money they got guaranteed to Deshaun Watson and Joe Flacco, to say nothing of their 3rd-round pick in Dillon Gabriel. Now, I also think that Quinn Ewers is going to have a better opportunity to play at Miami, just because take a look at the hits that Tua has been taking to his head and the dude refusing to stop playing football. You might not get to make that decision after a while, dog, because we don't like seeing you get hit the way you be getting hit. You be getting ragdolled. And that's the thing about that Shanahan, Mike McDaniel offense. Dudes is going to be butt naked open out in routes, but you also going to get hung out to dry. Like, this reminds me a lot of the Mike Martz offense with St. Louis, right? St. Louis, Mark Bulger, Kurt Warner, walking tattoos, just getting walloped, just inked everywhere you go, shoulders into sternums. Back before we knew what targeting was, dudes running butt naked open because the offense was blitz us, hit him, I don't care. We're going to complete passes to Isaac Bruce, to Torrey Holt, to Isaac Eam. It's going to be all right. except when it's not, right? So we'll see how it goes. But I think that Quinn Ewers has found money for Miami. Like, he has got the arm talent. He has the accuracy. Those things play in the NFL, and they play for a very, very long time. I think right now you'd be right to bet more on Shedeur being a backup for most of his career than you would a Quinn Ewers. But then there's the King Finesse of this all, right? Chase Daniels is second all-time on the King Finesse power rankings for me. Number one, got to be my guy, Sam Bradford, 2010, signs an $86 million contract with $50 million guaranteed, drafted by the St. Louis Rams. And then we got a collective bargaining agreement that said, all right, enough with all of that. Slotted values for the rookies because this is BS and we hate it. Yeah, that guy also winning. Also that dude. I just don't think you can look at it the way that other people have been looking at it since name, image, and likeness has entered into the foray in the way that it has. It's also one of the reasons that a lot of people want to see name, image, and likeness curtailed. And again, you're not going to get a salary cap from me. I think it's Major League Baseball. I really do. I think if somebody wants to pay you an arm and a leg, they have every right to do so. I don't think that we're going to see a place where it becomes unsustainable for people to make money playing college football because college football's always had money coming into it. And I don't know if you noticed that or not. The SEC brought in more than $900 million last year. The Big Ten brought in more than $900 million last year. Okay? It's going to be all right. We're going to be okay. Now, would you like to see the freedom of movement go down? I wouldn't. I don't care. The reason I don't care is there aren't guys that are going into the portal that are coming out. They're seeing the consequences of entering that thing. You ain't guaranteed to come out of it. You might be lost forever. Especially now that we're going to get to a place where roster caps are a thing. Like, they're going to get grandfathered in this year, but you're going to have a limit to how many guys you can play and sign each and every year. You're also going to probably try to have something like a soft cap, right, in the conferences. Like, if you did this in the conferences, right, let's say in the Big Ten you had a cap of $40 million, which is about what Kirk Cignetti thinks that most big teams are going to spend in 2025. People are still going to go over it. People are still going to cheat. People are still going to go into the luxury tax because that's what the Dodgers do. That's what the Golden State Warriors did. If you got it, it ain't tricking. It's just not. It ain't tricking if you got it. And Ohio State, Texas, they got it. Do you not got it? Cool. Create a new championship for yourself. We're heading toward what I think is going to be something like the Premier League, but it's not going to be Premier League because we don't do relegation, and we're going to have different conferences, right? We're going to have at least two. Big Ten, the SEC. I think we're still going to have the Big 12 and the ACC, but remains to be seen. Pac-12 is going to try to get back into this. All to say, I really need people to understand when they're talking about players signing contracts now as rookies. Even Emeka Egbuka, Kelvin Banks, all these guys that I name dropped just minutes ago, they're way better off than any other rookie class. And that will be true for next year's rookie class and then next year's rookie class. You got to start thinking about this as they are making money from the time they turn 18. They've gone to a second job, maybe a third or fourth job, depending on how many times you transfer, by the time they get to be a rookie in the NFL. Yesterday's price is not today's price.